At least you got our names right.
Welcome to the BlabberMalt Show with your hosts, Dave and Matthias, two guys that blabber incessantly about beer, brewing, and bullcrap. Stick around while they brew up another tasty episode.
Hey, what's up, brother?
Hey,
How
man,
you doing?
here we are. BlabberMalt Show, episode 49 for February 27th, 2024. Let's get into it.
It's time to mash in.
Oh, we got a full house here.
Yeah, we do.
We got Luke and Ben here from Collision Bend. Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
We'll do a little.
We're getting into this already?
Start with it right now. Huh?
Cheers.
Not only are they a brewery, they also distill.
Not yet.
Not yet. They bring their own.
Wow. That's how we do it.
That's right.
Get it started. Dave, how do people get a hold of us? Let's talk first before we get rolling here.
Yeah, before we get into it, let's like and subscribe. We're on Facebook, YouTube, all the places. Instagram, X, Threads, Spotify.
Anywhere you can find podcasts.
Yes.
Losing my voice today.
Yeah, that's okay.
Slow down.
Well,
It was the bourbon.
the bourbon is going to help you.
Wow.
Bourbon is going to help you. Yeah.
Jimmy Christmas.
Also, check out our Beacons links. Get all our aggregated links there, and you can pick up some new swag.
You're wearing the hat today.
You can, I'm wearing the new hat, this hat right here. And we got, let me get over here. What am I doing? What else we got? We got, you had the trucker cap, not with you tonight.
Wore that last week.
Yep. And the mugs,
Love it.
because you can't drink beer all day.
Debatable.
Yeah. The hoodies, looking pretty sweet. Have the logo on the back, have our names. You know, give us some advertising out there. So,
Yeah. Good stuff.
So let's do a little update for the weekend. We were up in Marblehead. You know, our number one, number two, BlabberMaltsters, Jay and Janelle.
Yes.
They came up, spent the night with us. We toured around, went to some local bars, and Janelle made us some craft cocktails. Isn't that right? Yeah. She made some great margaritas, some dirty martinis, and espresso martinis. They're fantastic.
Well, that sounds fun.
Got overserved to the bejesus. But it's okay. We didn't drive anywhere.
That's good.
What'd you do? What'd you do?
Man, this weekend was right back to normal for us in terms of the restaurant. It was a good weekend weather-wise, and we were just busy. So
Yeah.
I had a chance to work all weekend. That was the joy. So I
Great.
Friday night and was in Medina on Saturday and did some work for kind of getting ready for the eclipse. We're gonna have a big eclipse party in the parking lot there in Medina for the 8th, and working through some of those topics with the whole building and the Southtown area. So that was pretty much my morning in Medina, and then came back to Avon, and we were nice and busy. It was fun.
Yeah.
Good weekend. Boys played basketball on Sunday, and they won. So we're
Good.
still undefeated on the year.
Nice.
I know. Can't beat that. So
Sounds good.
only thing would have made it better was going to Bed Bath & Beyond. Nice little weekend.
Yeah. Don't know if there'll be time.
Free advertising.
Free advertising.
How about you guys? Ben, what'd you get into?
I want to get this
Just,
closer to y'all.
Did some stuff around the house that needed done,
Yeah.
especially outdoors.
The weather was a little
Weather was
better, so
cooperating. So
yeah.
Other than that, not a
do a little
whole
cleanup.
lot, yeah.
Yeah.
He
Cool.
also went to Bed Bath & Beyond.
I did. I don't know if there's enough time.
Yeah.
Don't know. Might be a good Saturday.
Go there every day 5 times.
Yeah.
You can pull us back and forth for you guys a little bit. Luke, how about you, bud?
Yeah, same. Just hung out. Not a whole lot. Just hung out.
Hangout's good.
Good. So it's been busy out there. Everything's been fine.
Good.
Yeah. That's good.
Well, you know, we've been itching to have you two in studio for a minute.
Yeah. The schedule's lined up, and we got you in here.
Stars aligned, full moon, we're ready to roll.
So let's.
It's time for the Vorloff.
So like Dave said, we have Luke and Ben here from Collision Bend, and they brought some beers for us to try tonight. And then we get a chance to ask them all the wonderful questions that we ask everybody. And what'd you guys bring for us today?
This is our new collaboration for the month of March with Heinen's. It's called Canal Basin Brew. It's a German style Pilsner.
It's an East Bank.
Or sorry, an
Pilsner.
East Bank
East
Pilsner.
Bank, Ben.
Marketing.
New invention
Marketing's
of
everything.
ours.
Yeah. So
Looks like we're
excited
gonna crack
to
out of the
try
can.
it, yeah.
It's called, oh, there you
Here's your nice big glass there.
Going with the big boy
Do
then.
it.
go. Coffee beer.
Go with the little one.
This can is beautiful.
Artwork was done by a local student, in, I think, at Cleveland Institute of Art. Partnered with the, what's the name of there? Canal Way.
Yeah, Canal Way. Canal Basin. It's if you can read the fine print, there's a big description on there on the can. But it's in conjunction with it's going to benefit a little benefit for where the park is going to be down on the east bank of the flats, near our brewery. So we're supporting and kind of partnering up with our neighbors, our future neighbors, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
Now, is this available at Heinen's now?
Starting March 1st.
March 1st.
Yep.
Okay.
We are special.
That's right.
Yes, we got a little
Sneak peek.
Cheers, Jim.
Cheers.
pre-release here. Thank you.
We should probably give one to our peanut gallery behind us. Tom's back there having a conniption fit right now.
Oh yeah.
He's not the only one.
Can I check it in?
Check it in. Check it in.
Yeah, it's on there, huh?
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, nice
I don't
job.
know. Is it on there? Check it in.
Probably not.
Put
Well,
it on.
maybe. Be the first.
Nice.
So what'd you get? What's in it? You gonna talk about it a little
This
bit?
is just straight Pils malt and Tetnang and Saphir hops.
Nice.
And that's about 5.2% ABV, 35 IBU. Little bit of hot bitterness there, but not offensive in any way.
No, definitely great for.
The style calls for, at least.
Yeah, I was just talking today about the necessity of having in today's world kind of like that traditional Pilsner that is I'm not going to say skunky in a bad way, but just that nice hoppy, beautiful Pilsner. And this fits that bill. 5.5%,
5.2.
5.2, really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job
Yeah, it's enjoyable.
for sure. Can works great. Painted
Yeah.
on can.
Yep, printed can, digitally printed cans.
Yeah, it came out really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't sure how it was going to look when they kept sending the artwork over, but as soon as we got the cans, I was like, oh yeah, this looks perfect on there.
And how much of this did you do?
The artwork?
No, the
Oh. I was like,
how big was the batch?
this was a 30 barrel batch. Yep. Canned about 125 cases worth. Most of those will go to Heinen's. There's some available both at Downtown Pub and the new Euclid spot too. So, and on draft at both places.
Nice. Well, it's good. So, as we get into having conversation about, we got a chance to be at Euclid for the first recorded show there with you guys. We've all been to the original location multiple times. We've brewed some beers together there, and really, it's kind of been home base for your location. Now, the questions we want to get into really is how did you guys get into brewing? What does that look like? And so I guess right off the bat, we'll just go back and forth and ask you questions. How did you get into brewing? Luke, you're kind of the seasoned vet in the room. So
The old man. The old man.
the old man in the room.
It's okay.
So long story, I'm sure. How did you get into brewing? I think this is a good question for everybody. It's the myth, the legend. Tell us, buddy. How'd you get into brewing?
Shoveling snow. That's how I got into brewing. And that was Andy Tavikram, who's now at Market Garden, hired me at Great Lakes. But I started home brewing in the basement with a good friend of mine, and made some bad beers. Made some real bad beers out of some extracts and things like that, and started learning that you don't use the packet of yeast that was taped to the can back then. And, those kinds of things like a lot of people go through. Unless you're lucky enough nowadays, there's so much information out there. You can start off, I think, better. There just wasn't a lot of great craft beers around. At that time we could get Sam Adams. I drank a lot of Guinness on Great Lakes opened, which was inspirational to me to start brewing my own beer, because I just wanted more of that kind of stuff, and there just wasn't anything that was around at the time.
Can we ask what year we're talking about here?
Early 90s. I think it was early 90s I started to homebrew. I started at Great Lakes in 96, so they were 8 years into it at that time. Just transitioning to a 30-barrel brew house, which is ironic because now I'm transitioning into a 30-barrel brew house with this guy. So yeah, it was kind of like that, and I say shoveling snow because it was early January that year, and I had been plowing snow, I'm a landscaper for a living, and plowing snow during the winter, and I was leaving that world to work at Great Lakes, kind of on a temporary basis, and learn some stuff because Andy was nice enough to have me down there, and he handed me a shovel to shovel the dock for the first 3 days of the blizzard that was that week. So I was like, well, I was better off in a truck pushing the snow than I am now, but it all worked out in the end.
There you go.
So then you transitioned in-house, and did you start right into brewing, or
Oh, no.
a couple jobs?
I was there about a year. We started in packaging world. It's kind of the way it goes, kind of the way it still goes there, I believe. If people still have a great opportunity. They're really good about in-house training and sending people off to school and things. They sent me to school 3 different times. After a year I was there, I had worked my way into every, a lot of cellaring, packaging. We all did all the work. We all did everything. There was changes, and then I finally got up on the brew house platform after about 8 months or so. And then after I was there for a year, they scheduled me to go off to Siebel Institute up in Chicago. They've always been really, really good about employee education and everything. So it was a fortunate situation for me at the time. I'm sure it's a little harder to scale your way up now there, as being such a larger company that they are, but I was there at a pretty good time. There was 8 of us in the brewery, so obviously I was there to learn, and they were there to teach me, so it's awesome.
Benny. Pass that question over to you, Benny boy.
A couple of my buddies were homebrewing, and I would go over and hang out with them, and my one buddy, Matt, made some really good beer and then made some really bad beer. And I was like, I think I could do this too.
Make bad beer?
Make bad beer.
Yeah.
And that I did. In my mind, I was like, I can make my own beer and it'll be cheaper.
Oh,
then
yeah.
you forget to factor in all the cost of all the equipment and everything.
Homebrewing is free.
Yeah.
Everybody. We've always seen Dave's stuff. It just doesn't cost anything.
Yeah, it's all free. So did that for about 2 years, and then got hired in at the brew kettle at the brew on premise. I was just helping people brew beer there, and then worked my way from there over to the production brewery, right onto the packaging line, like everyone does.
And that bottler is just
the Maheen that still gives me nightmares.
I think everybody talks about that.
Yeah, did that for a while, and then finally got up on the brew stand over there. I did that for a couple of years, and then met this guy, and started a collision.
That's really
nice. It's been almost 7 years now.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, doesn't feel like it.
No, it's a wild ride. You have a tattoo of a mash paddle, right?
There we go.
Yeah, that's the first thing I saw when I saw little.
I thought you said me. I was like, dude,
not yet.
I have a tattoo of Luke. It's right in here, right on my heart. Who doesn't have that? So, all things aside, we'll get into more of that in a little bit in terms of some of the early days and some of the things you've done to bring you guys together. But one of the things that we like to talk about a lot is asking our guests, and you touched on it a little bit, Luke, what is your gateway beer? I mean, we all have that moment where you look back and I think everybody in a younger generation in a year drinks, especially in our ages, drinks macro beer to start with, right? It was the first thing you had. Everybody's, and then you step into this moment in time where you have something that's not a macro, and your mind just blows. Like, what is going on, right? The flavors, the profile. This is what beer can taste like, and it kind of just changes your palate in the right direction. For me, it was Long Trail Ale. It's something I had in college, and that's something I talk about a lot, and how that that mindset shifted from drinking just to play beer pong to really enjoying the product, and then how that moves from there. So really, that's kind of a good question to ask everybody. We'll start with you, Ben. What was your gateway beer into craft? What was that one moment where you're like, ah?
It's funny. It's actually just it was Fathead's Bumbleberry. I had never been there before. Buddy told me about it. And I was like, I don't like beer. He's like, no, you just don't know you like beer yet. He's like, you're used to crap, you know.
That's a good buddy, by the way.
Good answer.
So we went there and had dinner, and I was like, you know, I asked the waiter at the time. I said, what would you recommend to start with? And he's like, I'd start with our Bumbleberry. Took one sip, and I was like, that doesn't taste like anything I've ever had. So that was kind of maybe a couple months before I actually started homebrewing too. So it kind of led to that. So yeah.
So what was your first homebrew beer then at that point?
Surprisingly, it was a blueberry ale.
See,
And it came out fantastic.
Really?
I'm not joking. Everyone loved it. It was a stupid little Mr. Beer kit, but it came out great. And then
you had the little plastic.
yeah, and I was like,
My first one was miserable.
so my first one was fantastic. Did a second one and immediately just dumped it down the drain.
It must be you guys that hang out together out in Amherst because, you know, with Lowry and whatnot, and we can talk about that too. I mean, you're friends with Jason.
Yeah.
And Jason's first homebrew beer won like an award. So that's not the
he
norm.
Had a good teacher.
Yeah, it was you. So, and that's how we got hooked up a little bit was through Lowry, and that's kind of a cool scenario. Good connection between the two of us. So
Yeah, for sure.
that's fun.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, he got the equipment on your recommendation. It's just that's not how it happens, you know. It's not.
That was not a Mr. Beer kit.
That's what I explained to him. I go, listen, you're going to either do this the right way up front, or you're going to do it like everyone else. And you're going to buy this, and then you're going to hate it, and then you're going to buy this, and you're going to buy this. And eventually, you're going to spend this much money.
Yep.
If not more. I go, so just start here.
See,
and he did. So it worked.
This, everybody, is a good friend.
It's good advice.
This is a good friend that says, you know what? If you're going to do it, just do it.
Do it right.
You know, again, you can make good beer, as you said, on a Mr. Beer kit.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hit and miss option for most people because it is the thrill of making that first beer, right? You had the Bumbleberry, and you're like,
I can do this.
I can do this. This is kind of fun. It's a light ale. I can put their blueberries in something.
Yep.
This is pretty cool. And so, you know, it turns out okay and gets that bug moving, or you can be all in from the very beginning. So that's good. Luke, what about you, bud? I know you kind of mentioned earlier a couple of little things, but, you know, just kind of pull that down for us back in that, you know, early 90s and what that looked like for you.
Yeah, it was, well, like I said, I think it was, I don't know where the things fall, you know. Being at that time, there was beers coming around a little bit, but I started having some, and if I'm being fair and honest, I probably really didn't like Guinness, but I pretended I liked it because I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it's better than Budweiser.
You know, the Irish family, and everybody's like, "Oh, Guinness, it's from the homeland," and all that fun stuff, and it was like, "Yeah, it's so good."
This is great.
But so it was really Sam Adams. It was really Sam Adams lager that I was kind of blown away by, like you said, like where I was like, this is I didn't know beer could taste this good, you know, because all the imports at that time, which is different now, which is a great thing. That the imports now, like, you know, because people know what they are, people are educated, and you can get them fresher. And back then they were dusty on the shelves. Like you couldn't get one that wasn't oxidized and tasted pretty much terrible or very skunky usually. And people thought that's how, you know, beer was supposed to taste. You know, it was supposed to have all those lovely flavors and aromas of skunk butt, but
skunk butt rub.
But you know, we all know that's not the case now, and which is part of what the craft beer, you know, thing in the States has done is bring people back to those, you know, European beers and made them popular enough that you can get them.
They're coming back.
Like this one at Heinen's, March 1st.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, it was definitely Sam Adams that got me going into it, and trying a bunch of their stuff after that, and then Great Lakes, Crooked River. You know, some of the early breweries in the day, Crooked River came along. So me and my buddies, We did a comparison every year. We couldn't wait to buy Crooked River's Yuletide Ale, it was called, and then Great Lakes Christmas Ale, which everyone might have heard of. So that was always fun times, comparing them every year. And in our minds, at the time at least, before I got in depth in knowing Great Lakes, they were the same size. They weren't the same size, but even then, Great Lakes was larger. But we didn't know that. You see it on the shelf, and like people see our beer on the shelves, and like, you guys are huge. We saw you in all the stores, and it's like, no, we're scraping out beers out of this little teeny brewery.
Not for long.
Not for long.
So that's, I think that a lot of people would say the very same thing. Those early days, the pails, right? The craft lagers, right? Jumping into that mode really kind of adds that flavor profile. Sam Adams is a fantastic thing, and I can't talk about Sam Adams in our studio without looking right over here.
I mean,
can I see it? It's right here. It's over behind Dave, right? Yeah. Did you guys know that Dave won the long shot competition for Sam Adams?
I did know that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, Dave, did you win? Did you win an award?
Well, I don't like to talk about it much, but I did.
Oh no, please.
Please do. Let's go. Tell us the story real quick. We got to do this every time. So,
come on, man. Okay, yeah.
It's a Reader's Digest version today.
Yeah, you see this competition happens every year, and I said, well, I got this size on. That's pretty good right now. I'll send it in. So I sent it in, and a couple months later, they're like, hey, you got to send us a couple more bottles because you're going to the second round. I'm like, oh, okay. So send them in, and then you find out, hey, you're coming to GABF, and you won, and this and that. I'm like, oh, shit. So, yeah.
And then you get your packaged product.
Yeah, they packaged it up with 2 other winners and distributed it. And we have a case in the other room. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, it's in there. Yeah, I do.
Listen, this is a different show. This is not OnlyFans, Dave.
Okay.
Start crying.
So that's a. Now, I think moving into the next.
I'll give you your $50 later.
You're welcome. Anytime. Looking at the idea of stepping into this world of doing this as a profession can be a lot. And I think we want to talk, you kind of both mentioned that earlier, but I want to talk to Luke first about your kind of involvement. I think Dave wants to talk to Ben, but as we step into this process, I think everybody in BlabberMalt world wants to kind of hear the story about Great Lakes. It's kind of this iconic moment where someone who is larger than life, we're both big dudes, right? Steps into a brewery that at the time is about the size of most, mid-level breweries in our area, right? Yeah. And then now has obviously risen to a different level, but steps into this place and becomes their brewer and then their head brewer and all of those,
sure.
processes. Well, why don't you tell us about those early days at Great Lakes? Talk about Christmas Ale. Because there's a fun story that we can debunk that here today on the if you want to, or you can make it worse. Either way is fine.
I will.
We're okay to make it worse. And then once you talk about those early days and Great Lakes and share the kind of the vision of craft beer in Cleveland as from at the time 7 or 8 breweries to now over 40.
Yeah, I don't even know if there was 7 or 8. There was Crooked River. There was a place called Firehouse. I remember. Couple places popping up.
It's like Rock Bottom.
Rock Bottom came along after I started, but yeah, they were there. There was a John Harvard's down the flats as well. Over on Sperry Road, local brewery, and then Wallabies. It was they were connected to each other. Yep. They're the ones that first tried to resurrect the POC brand.
Is that they do? Work all that well. Was there Plumber's Crack? Was there? That was Black Box.
Crack was
Black Box.
Black Box and
yes, Jerome.
Dover Vineyards, Jerome.
Yeah.
And they also ended up doing the Crooked River brand for a time, for a minute there. So that was a little bit after all the time I'm talking about. It was really just a handful. I don't really think it was 7 or 8 even. And then like
I guess that was more in the 2000s, right?
Yeah, further out there was Liberty Street and Akron was doing some good stuff. And Tim Rastetter actually ended up there. He was the. So the story you're talking about, Tim Rastetter was one of the earlier brewmasters Great Lakes, and he ended up, when he left, he went to Liberty Street Brewing in Akron. And so, I mean, apparently he held on to that secret Christmas ale recipe for many, many, many other jobs that he had through the years, and then finally decided for some reason to give it to, Nayway over there at Thirsty Dog. So, I don't know. We'll go with it. He always went with it. Whenever Tim and I did a couple talks together, and I'm like, they're gonna ask us, man. They're gonna ask us.
So you just actually confirmed something I didn't think you were going to confirm.
No, I'm not confirming it. I'm saying that tongue in cheek, because Tim's answer to that question, and actually he's the one that can answer it best, because as far as at one point in my career at Great Lakes, I went through the archives, which is what I'll call a nice way to put like this little cubby hole attic with all these dusty boxes of old brew sheets and all, everything that you could find. And I dug through them painstakingly for many days and tried to find like the origins of, Edwin Fitzgerald and Burning River and who brewed what and who did what, and deciphering off of, who signed the brew sheet, brewer. There's a brewer spot, and if you could read the writing, you're lucky.
Yeah.
Just like nowadays, and with our brewers.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Is that a shot? Ben, that was a shot.
No, I can read Ben's.
Not
We
me.
have some other guys.
Rory.
A little sloppy.
Throwing names already.
Oh, I'll call
Damn.
him out. I don't care.
But
Anyway.
that's important though, right? So I mean, we're looking at iconic brand with iconic core beers.
So I asked the Conways. Yeah, I asked the Conways. I said, who really is? People were asking me like, who really was responsible for the beginning of Christmas Ale, and honestly, they gave me an honest answer. They're like, we're really not sure, So I kind of researched it and talked to all the brewers that I was fortunate enough to have met that were there before I was. Talked to Andy Tavikram, and he had a blurry vision of the story, I think, at best. I don't know why. I think it has something to do with the fifth floor at our 30-barrel brewery. That's another story for another day for the new Ohio rules.
Yes.
But as best as I could figure out, there was a guy named Dennis Patton who was the first brewmaster at Great Lakes, and I had never met him. Unfortunately, he passed away before I had started there. The first brewmaster was Thane Johnson, our master brewer. We considered him that. He was from Schmitz, and he helped everything get started and build and design the brew house and all that kind of stuff, the little 7-barrel brew house. But the first working brewmaster who was actually doing most of the brewing day to day was Dennis Patton, and he was their plumber who installed it all. Yeah. And they're like, hey, we figured out that we can't do this and we need to hire a brewer. Do you want to be the brewer? He's like, I don't know anything about it, so we'll send you to school. And they sent him to school. I think that's part of how that all got started with them. Like, let's teach people. So it's a great thing. And so far as I could tell, another guy who was a brewer there early, Dennis Holland, told me that Dennis started it and he made like a cinnamon kind of spiced ale and called it winter warmer or maybe even Christmas ale, I'm not sure. And then he and a guy by the name of Ramon Feliciano, who was there for longer than I was there, which is 20 some odd years. He was did jack of all trades there, and make good maintenance, and he could take apart any motor and put it back together and it would work, which is a rare skill.
You got to have those guys.
Yeah. So Ramon was a great guy, great resource, and a great guy to learn from. So Dennis was nice enough to let Ramon grate the ginger into that brew to add it. He thought it needed some, or Dennis Holland, so the second Dennis thought this needs some balance. It was just all cinnamon, and it needs some balance. So as far as I could tell, it was a 3-year evolution into what we know as Great Lakes Christmas Ale, and almost really, you could say, the Northeast Ohio style holiday ale now. I think it's really based on that. Everyone has their own versions and adds their own different spice or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. But I think it's
with their own stank on it.
Inspired by that. So when the debates go every year and all the fun times and who's his best and all that good stuff, and I think it still starts with theirs, and everyone's still can taste, and people will say it's different every year, and that's another thing you can, and there's probably some merit to that as well, because we as brewers, we know our ingredients very well. When I say our ingredients, I mean malt and hops and water. and yeast. You
Yeah.
know, Bavarian purity law, Reinheitsgebot. We
Yep.
know those ingredients very well, and we know when they change from year to year and crop years and stuff like that. We know how to change and adjust with them. You know, if we're good brewers and
Right,
pay attention
right.
to those things. But we don't know honey. Like
Yep.
we don't know necessarily. We were getting big drums of honey in, and opening them up for one batch of Christmas ale, and maybe 3 or 4 different colors. So what kind of sugars are we getting? Honey's made up of 27 different sugars. So what are we getting? Is the fermentation the same every time? You know, so I think that's where some of the not so much myth part of the Christmas ale changes every year, is because you might have a little bit drier and the spices are coming through more one year, whereas you have a little bit more body the next year. So maybe they're blanketed a little more, things like that. So there is some merit to it, but as far as them changing the recipe wholesale, nilly-willy, like just to mess with people, like everyone thinks, that's not what they strive to do. And I'll give a shout out to Pat and Dan Conway about this, because one time I actually kind of played around with small pilot batches of Christmas ale with corn sugar versus honey to kind of show that how much money could be saved if we didn't use all this honey that we were using, because it's very expensive. And a lot of people, there was subtle differences, but it wasn't major enough differences, and they had asked me to do that for the experimental purposes. But when it came down to, do you want to do this? We'll save X amount of money. They were like, no way, we're not changing this beer. Everyone loves this beer the way it is.
It's a flagship
So it's
for
cost.
us. Yeah.
So I always say, hats off to them for sticking to tried and true from the beginning. So like the criticisms of changing or cutting corners or going cheap are false, I would say, as far as I know. Unless it's changed since I've been there, which I don't think it has.
Yeah. And you really don't want the beer to be identical, do you? I mean, you kind of like a little.
I think with your packaged beers, your goals are to try to keep them very consistent. So yeah, I mean, you kind of want to, but with your seasonals, I mean, from year to year, you're going to have subtle changes probably, because you're not adjusting. Like I said, we know our ingredients and we adjust on the fly. If we get something in, a bigger brewery can contract more hops and have it more consistent throughout the year, and then they have to adjust like once a year. A brewery like our size, we're constantly adjusting because every order of hops we get in are going to be a little bit different. And even every order of grain, malted barley we get in are going to be different as well. So it's a little bit tougher to keep everything perfectly consistent. I mean, the bigger you get, the more you can do that. But even that from year to year, that's a stretch in between. Although it feels like we brewed, I don't know how they do now, but it feels like we brewed Christmas ale all year, I'll tell you.
Right, I think they started.
Like if I ever cut up another ginger brewed out.
Yeah.
and that's true, and I think that's my statement to everybody that comes in is the very same thing. When you're buying honey in tankers,
yeah, what
are you going to do?
They're buying 55-gallon drums and heating bands to kind of heat it up, so it would flow easier, and pumping it in, just pumping honey and pumping honey in. So you're like, so you get all those things.
Definitely changes.
So we don't harp on Christmas ale all night. It's
I just think
coming
it's
up
fun
on
to
spring and summertime, so let's like focus on some other stuff. I do want to say we are working on designing our own Christmas ale, and it's based off the recipe that I found that I didn't reveal to anyone. I stole from Great Lakes.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's the real original. So
the real original.
You heard it
right here today. First ever on the BlabberMalt Show that did not come. It's not leaving Great Lakes and going to Thirsty Dog. It's taken from this gentleman beside me and held on to it for 30 years at this point.
Right.
You're going to re-release it. But I do want to say one thing before
And
Dave
you can
moves
get
on.
it in August. It's coming out in August.
yeah, it'll be for sure.
Let's start brewing it.
Is the last thing is that when people talk about brewers and especially in the early days as we move through that iconic brewery, the idea of brewers being a rock star status, right? And it tends to be the case. People walk in, they go to the beer shows, they want to talk to brewers and be a part of that. And you have a really cool story that you told me a long time ago about when the Cleveland Indians came in on a tour of the brewery.
What was I drinking that day?
You remember this?
Yeah, I remember the story.
And you told me the story of that you were doing what brewers do,
Right.
which everybody knows in our show is what?
Clean stuff.
Clean stuff, right? So tell that story really quick. I think it's a wonderful story just to kind of connect the early days of big beer,
Yeah,
right?
that's actually one of my favorite stories. I think I just told that recently. It's I was in the brew house at Great Lakes, the 75 barrel system, the current system that they're in, big old tanks, and the second floor. If you've ever been on the tour, you remember that you see the tops of the tanks. If you look down in, it goes all the way down to the floor below. And so we would have to climb in to scrub those tanks out, which some of us do now still. I've been in our tanks, just for the record.
You can fit now.
I can fit.
That's great.
I can fit now. But yeah, so it was a Saturday. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I had come in because we had a rough week, and usually we cleaned on Fridays back then, but we didn't. We had to brew more beer or whatever. And probably summertime, so we were brewing Christmas Day, like that. You know? And that really actually, all the honey and everything, like we had to clean the brew house more often even than we already did because scorching and burning the sugars and all that kind of stuff. So I was down in there scrubbing away, and it was about 120 degrees in there. And there was a party going on in the banquet room, which was just adjacent to the brew house there. And a couple of people were like peering down at me and, yelling. And so I said, like, I looked up and I'm like, oh boy, I'm gonna climb out and talk to customers. This is awesome because I love them all, and like this is what we do, But I mean, it was not the ideal time that I wanted to do that. But I climbed back up the brewery kettle ladder and hopped out and started chatting with these gentlemen, and they proceeded to tell me that I have the coolest job in the world, as I'm like dripping sweat and covered in like bird sugar and probably staining my really good clothes I was wearing with, chemicals and whatever, and wearing my safety goggles. Of course. And I said, well, that's really nice of you guys. What do you do for a living? And they're like, oh, we play for the Tribe.
Oh, okay.
And it turned out to be McNamara. He was a shortstop. It was when they had a really young team, and Josh Bard was a catcher. And so I was like embarrassed I didn't know him because I'm a huge baseball fan. But they just had a team that was all like a lot of young guys, like kind of like right now, like kind of like what they have right now.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I'm really sorry I didn't know. And like, wait a minute. You guys just told me I have the coolest job in the planet. And I was like, you guys play baseball for a living. Like, I don't think I have the coolest job. So that was my fun little.
I think that's a great story.
It is. That's awesome.
Just to kind of see the early days and the process through that. So I appreciate you being a mentor for a lot of people and being there for all of us young guys who are, asking questions all the time. And
Yep. We say that all the time, and people say it to me, probably folks like Andy and a few other old timers around town. But although Andy's not as nice as I am about it, I'll tell you that.
I didn't say anything.
I didn't say that either. No. I love Andy. He's awesome. But we say that all the time, and we have in Cleveland. We have a great tight knit brewing group. We have a lot of the pro brewers here. Really help each other out. We all try to help the home brewers still as well if we can. We share things with each other. We share information. We lend each other hops, malt, all the good stuff. And everybody across the country, I really feel like you could call. Like one of us could call, or you could call like someone that you don't even know. If you just know, like, hey, someone like this brewery out in California went through the same thing you're going through.
Yep. I
really think you could reach out to them and say, hey, I heard you guys went through this, and most times you're going to get some help and feedback. Mm-hmm. So across the country it's like that, but it's very consistent that I have friends from around the country, brewery friends from around the country coming into town and taking note of the Cleveland scene, like how really, really like close we all are and how we really help each other. So it's a Cleveland. I think it's a Cleveland thing. So
yeah,
for sure.
Clevelanders always are looking out for each other. So and it extends into the brewery, which is already that way. And it just is even enhanced, because of all that. So I think it's really cool, and I'm proud to be part of it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's great. It sure is.
For sure.
Yeah. So, Ben, you mentioned that you guys had met, and you got into, Collision Bend to start brewing professionally. How did you guys meet? How did that happen?
Actually, I think the very first time we met, I was working for... it was Buckeye Canning then. Now it's Ironheart. But I was working for them, and we were doing some test canning runs at Great Lakes. And Luke was down there hanging out, watching the process and running all the tests and everything. So that's how I met him the first time. And, then you become Facebook friends and all that good stuff. And then, one day I saw his post about looking to hire somebody for a new brewery that was opening up, and I reached out.
You're still at Brew Kettle?
I was at Brew Kettle at the time, yep, and looking for a change.
Yeah.
Didn't want to work in a production brewery anymore, and here we are building a production brewery 7 years later.
Yeah.
But yeah, reached out to him, sat down, talked a couple times, and
Awesome.
got started
Yeah.
down there in March of 2017.
Yep.
Yeah.
When were you working at Ironheart?
So there was a in-between period. I started at Brew Kettle
Yep.
and left working their packaging line and stuff, and then I left to go work for the canning company.
Yep.
And then came back to Brew Kettle.
Okay.
Worked on their canning line and told them the only way I'd come back is if I got in the brew house. So they're like, well, come in, run the line, and then hire someone to take over. So that's when I hired Pete.
Yep.
And then taught him all the, unfortunately, I had to teach him on that poor bottling line.
Oh,
Sorry, Pete.
Sorry, Pete. So this is kind of a crazy small world on this side of town, right? So we have BJ Solomon, who was and Dan Blatt, who was also with the canning company. Dan is now the proprietor and brewer at Ghost Tree.
Yep.
And again, just that lineage of moving around is crazy.
Yeah.
And so Pete is our pub brewer, does all of our 5-barrel batches for us. And Pete was with you you taught him how to do. You worked with him and trained him at
Taught him how to run that stupid Maheen.
Maheen at Brew Kettle, which I think people still have dreams about. Dreams equal nightmares.
Constantly.
There's something about like that this conversation that's going on that I think people can understand better. Like when I was talking about like climbing up the ladder at Great Lakes, we were one of the very few breweries around, and like I said, there was 8 of us, and getting up there. Nowadays, you see people bouncing around a lot. I think there's a lot of that is because they might start at like a Great Lakes or somewhere like that on third shift bottling or third shift canning or something like that, and then their only means of moving up sometimes is the opportunities come from another place. And there's so many breweries around now, so you see people zigzagging around town a little bit, but it's also been part of how we all get to know each other and keeping the brewing community close to each other too, because like we have these connections where I kind of got reconnected with Jack at Brew Kettle from Ben working with me. It's like Jack and I go way back, but you kind of sometimes lose a little bit of touch when you get so busy with what you're doing. And so sometimes you get an employee, like I called him when we hired this guy. Like I called Jack first. I go, don't put your notice in. I got to call Jack. I'm not gonna be like I don't want him to think I'm just
For sure.
I didn't know at the time I was taking his best guy, but
Yeah.
There we are.
And
it is what it is.
And that is exactly true. I mean, because not only we have Pete from Brew Kettle, we have Andrew, who was at Brew Kettle for a small stint because of a buyout, but was also at Great Lakes before that. So Great Lakes to Brew Kettle to Avon. Pete's from Brew Kettle to, I think he had a stop at Platform for a minute to Avon. And then, as that plays out, Andrew promoting the process to now opening his own brewery in Ridgefield. And so we want to help him with all those things and provide him all those connections and options. And that has made a good connection for us to Brew Kettle. Not that I didn't know Jack. We didn't help each other out in other processes, but now there's a person who used to work for him, works for me. And it's just a, hey, I know this stuff. I can do it here. I can come here and I can talk to the people. And if we need yeast, we can bring a brink over and yank something out like that. And same with even at Great Lakes. And so those things are options for us. We do that quite a bit at Fatheads too. So, I mean, everybody's just a wonderful, wonderful thing.
for sure.
And I know, Ben, you've said that before. I mean, from a home brewer to a person running a bottle line to now a professional brewer, what was that transition like for you? Did you quit your previous job before that? Some personal life adjustments? How does that play out with your personal life?
That was just so I was kind of in one of those like weird ruts. Wasn't really working anywhere special at the time. Didn't really know I had worked so many different jobs. I was like, I don't know what I want to do.
Yep.
And then that brewing kind of sparked that. I was like, oh, I could do this for a living. Oh, this sounds great. Probably still a mistake, but no. No, but yeah, it was really wasn't like a big change because I wasn't really stuck in one field or anything like that. So, but it opened it up and gave me something to look forward to all the time.
So now, as you guys move forward with the new production facility, what does that look like? Who's going to be brewing there?
So this goes back to what our just previous conversation was too. Rory was working with me at Brew Kettle. He was in the cellar and on the brew house. And then when I left to go work with Luke, he left to go take over the pub brewing at Platform.
Yep.
So he was there for almost the entire time, and then unfortunately they closed and he lost his job. So then we knew we needed a brewer for Euclid. So I got a hold of him. So he's been down at Collision down in the flats, handling pretty much all the brewing now until we get Euclid up and running, and then he can transition over to there.
Good.
And then I can go back downtown.
Good.
Hopefully.
Work on your brew sheets. I already heard that. It's the first thing that stuck in my mind.
Chicken scratch.
We got to be able to read these. For the historians are going to want to read these someday.
Someday someone's going to want to figure out who made that
Yeah.
beer.
25 years from now, Rory, you have to understand that your chicken scratches,
It's your legacy.
your legacy will be on a cardboard box in the attic.
People will be arguing who created this beer, and nobody will know.
You got to keep good records, pal.
Hey, you're not a doctor, man. Come on.
So, Luke, as you kind of, and Ben, both of you guys can answer this either way you want. Now that you have two locations, the difficulty that can be, right, and connecting to your locality. What is your connection to your local area? Canning wise, you talk a little bit about that. And then what is unique about your specific beer and why is it relevant to today's world? Because you're putting stuff on shelf, right? It's hard in today's world.
It is. Shelf space is very hard to get into nowadays. You're constantly. We love having all the new breweries opening up everywhere, but at the same time, we're all fighting for that same spot on the shelf. So it's very tricky to figure out what to put into a can that'll sell. It's everything you think that's going to sell doesn't sell, and what you think won't sell flies off the shelves, and you just don't. It's a never-ending battle. I like to think that from the beginning we've stuck more classical styles instead of doing all the weird off the wall. Nothing wrong with any of that stuff, and
Nothing at all.
Another person coming here that triggers the
Right.
Avon.
I knew you were going to say that.
You didn't say anything.
I
Didn't have to say it. He looked right at me and was like, "No, there's anything wrong with that."
There's not, sir. But yeah, I think the location we have, the clientele that we bring in, it really fits that down there. We've tried some of the weird, wacky, and it just doesn't sell down there. Euclid's already proving to be a completely different clientele.
Yep.
The things we thought wouldn't sell there are flying off, and it's so now we're trying to adjust to that. But
Once we're up and brewing, we should be able to get to a point where it's going to be a nice balance between the two, though, with the brews, because we're seeing what's moving out there, and we know pretty well. We know downtown pretty well, so I think not that it's unique, but like some of these, even this one that's we're sitting in front of us here, the Canal Basin, and supporting like some of our local partners that we've been fortunate enough to have some people approach us and make some beer with them, and like the traditional collaboration that's happened since whenever us brewers all started working together on beers. Like we did our collab a few times.
Legend of the Guava.
The Legend of the Guava.
yeah,
Yes.
need to do that
My
again.
mom's
I have the
favorite
Guava.
beer. My mom's favorite beer.
I bought it because Luke said something about it, so I preemptively got it.
We did the
But, yeah, we-
Saison with you guys.
We threw a nice was that Vienna? Vienna with
Vienna Lager. Yep.
with the folks at the
PB
PB
Blaster.
Blaster, and that he was talking about stuff
Nice.
flying off the shelf, and
That was
I
insane.
think it was an excellent beer that we put in that can, but I don't think it mattered.
It was the.
We
It
have
was
people
more the
still calling
marketing.
us from across the country that want that
Wow.
beer, like garage mechanics, and and folks like that are like, you have to make more of that beer, and like so sometimes you hit on something and it's not necessarily your brewing expertise.
You had no
that
idea,
makes it
yeah.
successful.
That's great.
And that's part of your locale, right?
Yep.
The
Yeah, well, that's
location.
why I think it makes sense for your question, because it's like with some of these, we've had some really good success with some of these like partnerships. So.
Yep. Well, you have like Lake Erie Sunset, right? You have your Seatown, Hope Flows, Acres Nights, your Bollard Pool. A lot of those beers that you do on a regular basis in the flats kind of revolve around your multi-million-dollar patio space, right? I mean that because it's the view.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? I mean, it's just the most epic space to be able to sit on and have a beer and really good food items. Before we do any of that, people want to know how to get a hold of you. Where are you at? What's it look like for both of you? We didn't do that earlier in the day. Maybe give some locale, how to find you down in the flats. Where do you find you in Euclid? What does that look like, social media-wise?
Yeah, so one website for both spots you can vary off of, collisionbendbrewery.com. Instagram, I believe, is Collision Brew. Facebook, obviously, just look up Collision Bend Brewing. Location down in the flats is 1250 Old River Road. It's on the east bank of the flats, directly across from Samsel
Hence
Supply.
the East Bank Pilsner.
March 1st.
Yep,
March
March
1st.
1st.
Tooth clean.
Friday.
Newest spot in Euclid is 1261 Babbitt Road. It's right
Right off
the
90.
highway.
Yeah.
One driveway past the Amazon building that everyone knows out there, and Lincoln Electric's on the other side. So yeah, very, very close to the highway. Very easy to get to.
It really is. Absolutely. So expansion, future distribution plans, what's that look like?
Yeah. Right now we're only in 13 counties with beverage distributors. So once we can get this brewery up and running and up the capacity from what we do now, hopefully we can expand to the entire state and really get some beer out there.
Yeah, we're gonna ramp up and try to fill up the counties as much as we can with beverage and see where that takes us, and then ramp up after that. So we hope we can get up to capacity in a few years here.
Yeah, so with the production facility, I imagine some of your bigger beers you'll be able to do bigger batches and then do some more crazy stuff.
Yeah,
At the
that's the
brew pub?
plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to pull the 3 30-barrel fermenters and our 30-barrel bright out of downtown once we're operational out in Euclid and we start packaging beer out there.
Yep.
We already have 3 10-barrel fermenters to bring in and a 15-barrel bright. So we can...
There's a dog down here, just so in case everyone wonders what I'm doing.
That's
with
what I was
my
doing too.
hands.
Yeah.
My hands are under here too. Like we're not playing handsy with Luke. I promise. Not today.
Whatever, guys. Whatever.
But yeah,
I knew you like Luke, but not that much.
But
it's all good.
Sorry,
yes,
I
that
interrupted
will enable us to do smaller one-off batches. Maybe bring in some brewers from that like to do that weird, wacky stuff, and we could do some
Who
collabs.
could you be talking about?
I don't know.
He can teach you how to do a milkshake donut.
No donuts.
Milkshake coffee.
Yeah, I'm not
stuff.
going to put donuts.
And it really is important to discuss, as you guys mentioned, between your Euclid location, even in the flats, how that differs, right?
Oh, yeah.
We have to brew different beers from Medina.
Yeah.
They're a very lager-heavy county. So we have I think we had 5 lagers on this weekend. And if I had 5 lagers on in Avon, that would be bad. It's just for sales would be bad. And so, our number one selling beer in Avon is probably hazy. It is not in Medina.
Yeah, when you're a home brewer, you can brew beer that you like. When you're a professional brewer, you have to brew beer that sells.
You can do both, but yes.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things, though, with the way this is working out, and it was kind of part of the vision at the beginning of opening Euclid was for production. So everything that we're going to see, all of our canned products, like you said, Lake Erie Sunset and our porter and a few other ones. We're planning on coming out with a light lager whenever we finally start brewing. So then we'll be able to supply downtown with those products. And like Ben said, the larger tanks are coming out of downtown and going out to Euclid, and then we're replacing those with smaller tanks. And it's going to give us an opportunity between splitting batches between the two places. So even though like some beers might not move as quickly at one place or the other, we're gonna have the opportunity to have a bigger variety at both places, and we can balance it out. Just put a couple kegs out here and leave the rest downtown, or the other way around in some cases, whichever one happens. So we really are excited, I think, about the opportunity to move through the liquid quicker, so we can make new beers more often.
Yeah.
And do guava beer.
Yeah. Guava beer is important.
For Mom. Mom needs it.
Yeah, Mom needs it.
Mom needs it. Come back to Avon. We had a good time last time. That's good stuff, guys. I appreciate the commentary and the sharing your stories with everybody. It's a cool thing that people want to know about who you are and find out some of the intricacies of your favorite beer and your time in brewing and all of those things. And we didn't get a chance to talk about your other tattoo, but Puppy was down there, so we might as well talk about that.
This was our last dog, so that's in. He lives forever there.
Yep.
The new dog always has one ear up, one ear down, with his name under there. That's how we found him when we rescued him from the kennel.
Nice.
He was sitting in the corner, one ear, all scared looking. So, yeah.
Like,
they're both
you're
handsome
coming home, buddy.
dogs.
This arm will be dedicated to the animals. This one's probably
Beer.
And
You need to get a
new
collision band
adventures.
tattoo on there, right?
I don't think so. Maybe an Avon Brewing one.
Oh, there you go. See? Follow Brian. We'll do that. We'll give you free beer for life.
Sounds great.
I think we already do. So come on and buy whatever you
Whatever.
want.
Get whatever you want.
Good tattoo.
That's how it works.
We had a maintenance guy at Great Lakes, Jim Clifford, who got the Great Lakes logo on his arm, and I was like, man, that's commitment. That's real commitment. He's like, you've been here forever, and I was like, yeah, but I'm not ready for that.
Yeah. That's another 10 years, maybe.
If they ever get rid of me, I can always put sucks on the bottom.
Oh, touche. There you go. Brian has one. There's an out for you, Brian.
There you go.
But to his credit, he retired there, so I'm sure he's happy that he has it.
That sounds good to me.
Great. All right, you want to get into the boil?
Let's do it.
It's time for the
All right, this is the time in the show where we talk about the homebrew happenings.
Yeah.
So I ended up, I don't know if you guys probably don't watch the show, but I had some issues with the different size hole punches for my HLT. Punched a hole that's too big. Ended up working it out with some tri-clamp fittings that are leak-free for now.
Can you come out to Euclid tomorrow and fix ours?
You don't want me, man.
No, we're desperate.
We'll talk after the show.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So I got the HLT. It's all plumbed in, and the mash tun really just needed a temperature probe. That was no big deal. So now the boil kettle. I just got it today. The right size chassis punch, 1 1/4 inch diameter. The thing is, guys, chassis punch, the measurement is the actual size of the hole. A conduit punches a hole for a conduit for the inner diameter of the conduit that fits in there. So 1 1/4 inch is almost 1.5 inches. The hole that it punches. It's important to know
It is.
when you're punching holes in stainless steel. Anyway, I got the right size for the boil kettle. Probably do that this weekend. Actually not. We got winter warmer, so.
Just a shout out to our episode, Cal from Electric Brewery.
Electric Brewery, yeah. He's a great dude.
Great dude, great show to anybody who's interested in how to maybe brew electric at home without having any direct fire, put it in your garage like you're doing.
Yeah.
Check out the episode. It's very informative. Great page to follow. So
It was our first international guest, our first remote guest as well. So
it was ended up being a good show.
Cool. Yeah.
Now, you talked about getting some diamond plate behind the wall.
I did, yeah. I looked at it and priced it out. Yeah, we're gonna stick with just paint for now.
Paint for now.
Paint for now.
Well, there's no fire happening, so might as well
And I'm not planning on squirting the wall down. Planning on it.
today.
Could happen.
Might happen.
Yeah, I did get some grid wall for storing stuff, but I have to cover up my electric panel, so I have to figure out how I'm going to put it on a hinge. So we'll figure something out. So,
Space problems.
Yeah, yeah.
But better to brew here than
At the storage
condo.
Yeah, it'll be good. We'll work it out.
perfect. So we have some. Do you homebrew at all still? You have no time. I don't either. That's what we talked about with Dave. Gets his brewery here.
Just
get
come
back
out
to
and
the
we'll
fun
just
and have a fun time.
Just hang out and drink beer.
We'll invite you to have a homebrew day here. I'm inviting you to Dave's house. For
Yeah. Hey, They bring beer. They're welcome.
For a homebrew
The
day.
dog likes me.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Is she still hanging around?
Yeah, Puppy's here. We'll bring some beers, and we'll have a homebrew day here in his garage
That's great.
and just relive the event. So that'll be a lot of fun. Pro brew happenings, right? It's
Yeah.
St. Patty's Day. Wore my St. Patty's shirt just for fun. We got the brewery decorated for St. Patrick's Day. Our Soul Stealer Red Ale and our Black Abbey Irish Stout are on draft at all 3 locations. So get yourselves out to check those out. And that's it for what we're doing on our end. What do you guys got going on in your neck of the woods with Collision? Anything coming out other than this beer? Let's talk about the beer. Friday. What can we do with it? How do we get it?
Every Heinen's location.
Bam.
Downtown we'll have draft as well. But cans at all Heinen's locations. I think there's 19 of them.
Yeah.
So
Downtown Heinen's.
Yeah.
And
you
you
can
can
also
do a little launch thing for it.
Yep. And you can also find it at both of our locations, downtown and in Euclid, in cans and on draft. So
Yeah. This one's actually very cool. So I talked about the partnerships earlier. This one being the Canalway, and then also Heinen. So every year, a lot of us brewers, they do a brewery of the month collaboration, and we've been fortunate enough to be part of that pretty much since they started doing it. So this one is they are also willing to jump in and be supportive of the Canalway and the project going on down there. So I think it was really cool. Like, so it's not just us and Heinen's, it's not just us and Canalway. It's Heinen's is joining in with us in helping out the cause here. So I think that's a cool point to make as well. So they're doing like a little launch party at the downtown Heinen's location. So they will put it on draft, like Ben said. So fun stuff. There was a press release about it all the other day, and I haven't read through it all yet, so I can't really quote the days, but it's out there.
I have a quote in it that
Oh, very
I
good.
may or may not have wrote.
We'll
But it's
say
in
it
there.
now.
I didn't write it. I don't know the quote.
Oh, may or may not have.
Don't know
written
what
it.
I said.
I blacked out.
I
You
didn't
blacked
write
out.
It sounds awesome.
It's like a Yogi Berra book I had. It's called, I didn't really say everything I said.
Yep.
That's exactly right. That's great. You gotta love the press.
Yep.
So, one of the things that I think that I want to talk about today is that, in previous alliterations of collaborations together, we talked about the 2 biggest guys in the brewing world getting together and doing a beer, right?
Yeah. Big, not in like the size of our breweries.
More like the size of my waist
Right.
at the time,
Yeah.
right? That's not the case anymore, man. The 2 of us have had some really cool past year or so, and I think we come and talk about that. I think our viewers have been asking questions about what that looks like, and they saw us both in the video at Fatheads, and their responses were, "What happened to Matthias?" and "What happened to
I would
Luke?"
say I'll chime in really quick for everyone that's asked me. Luke is fine. He's not dying. He's not sick. It's okay.
It's okay. Same thing, right?
No one wants to ask Luke directly, so they all come up to me all quietly, like, "Hey, is Luke okay?" And I go, "Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's fine. He's actually better than ever." So
So you guys just managing your intake and watching your diets, just trying to exercise?
Why don't you take a moment? It's important to talk about these things, and I can do the same thing whenever you want. Turn that mic to the man.
I mean, I think for everyone, for everyone's it's a different journey. So, like for me, it was just it's a tough business. It's a tough business, and it's tough for anyone that And I fluctuated weight my whole life, so when you're like you get into a pattern of not good habits, it's pretty easy to let yourself get exceed.
Yeah,
your
the just ball
limits.
keeps rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I finally caught myself in one day, and my doctor helped me out. And I used an app called Noom. But I mean, I think that like when you're ready to do something, when people are ready to do something, and you're dedicated to it, then you're going to be able to do it, whatever method is chosen. You have to find the one that works for you personally. So. I just stuck to it, and I'm sticking to it. And everyone's like, "You're on a diet. You're still on your diet." I'm like, "I've never been on a diet. It's a complete change of lifestyle." So that's all.
Yeah.
That's the way, and you just keep going at it every day, and it's like anything else,
But being a brewer and running a restaurant, It's got to be the
Our
temptation.
French fries
is there-
are really good. That's all I have to say.
All your food is really good.
Hand cut every day.
Dude, you don't know what I do. I love French fries.
I do too.
I would throw a baby down a flight of stairs if I could get a plate of fries.
Oh my goodness.
I'll do it now. You got a baby?
No,
do this.
Thank God, no. No.
I wouldn't do that. Come on.
But yikes! I love French fries too.
Not that much. Though.
But not that much. And I think that's part of the equation. I think that we started talking about what that looks like, and in reality, it is a lifestyle change. For me, it was a slightly different than you. I had some kind of overwhelming inflammation over the course of the years. Everybody's different, and so I really encourage you to do one of two things. Right, get some blood tests done. There's some genetic tests you can get done to look at some of your MTHFR, start conversations to look at how you process food. For me, it was a lot of inflammation. So being an athlete in high school and college and a little bit of professionally, for me, it was just a buildup over time. So a little bit of unhealthy living or a lot of unhealthy living coupled with injuries and inflammation in your cells and how that all plays out and your body just kind of ravages itself over time. For me, it was really just a wholesale change of everything, right? It was I'm tired of being sick and tired. And so you just make a change. So for me, it was, I changed my hair care products from, you shaved your beautiful head.
That wasn't really a choice.
Oh, it's still pretty. It's still pretty.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, all natural hair care products, soaps, lotions, deodorant, and then stop taking ibuprofen, which was one of the biggest things that was being prescribed to me. And then after that 6 weeks of detox, really looking at what I ate every day and how to be better eating anti-inflammatory that would work towards my personal body chemistry and DNA. And I have a lot of people who I thank for that, and particularly someone who really just kind of pushed me to really see what that looked like in myself. And then from there, really just stuck with it, right? From eating anti-inflammatory, almost really just all natural vegan. Anything I ate that was meat-based was grass-fed, grass-finished, no antibiotics, all natural, everything, no nitrates. Read the label, people. It's really important that processed foods in America kill people.
Yep.
Cutting that stuff out with sugar gone in my diet. I lost 200 pounds in 13 months, brother. And I don't diet. I just eat appropriately.
Yep.
I walk.
Same here.
And I do cold showers every day, 3-minute cold showers, cold plunges.
I don't do that.
It works for me. You're talking about burning 500 calories in 3 minutes in a cold shower, something you can't do, and it kills all eviscerates your internal organ fat. And so, that's just a lifestyle change that helps you to get to the point where you're healthy, happy, right?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And I see that you're happy and you have a connection to a wonderful woman and how that creates your new business and your lifestyle and all of those things all go together to make that whole human. So
yeah, absolutely. It's good, So call our hotline if you need help.
1-800 Big Guys No More. We will answer all your questions on all those things and
That's good. But
I'm definitely not overweight, but I do struggle with blood sugar. That's something like you say, it's for your own self, and you need to moderate, sugar intake and watch your complex carbohydrates and that kind of thing as I drink beer. But,
all those
you got to moderate it, right?
All those things are tough, and we're talking about weight loss, but I want to give a quick shout out. There's a bartender, a good guy down at Immigrant Son in Lakewood. And he's running a program now, sober in the industry. So there's it's really, really cool. He's got some good stuff going, and it's a tough industry in that way too. So I just want to throw that out there. Like there are resources for people, whether you're working on the restaurant side of things or in the brewery, and the sales team, the sales reps have a tough time with that. I spent some time on the sales team at Great Lakes for a few years and. To learn that side of the business, and it can be rough. You're out there. I believe that. You're out there. It's
entertaining
it can be
people.
Tough, and you get caught up in that stuff. So there's always help for people too. And as we sit here drinking beer on a beer show, that should be mentioned though. So.
No, it is important.
For
I think
sure.
that we've talked about it on our show too, right? I mean, for the majority of that 13 months, I was totally living a sober lifestyle. I still do that, right? So it's just everything in the process of the plan. And so, there's always hope for everybody across the board. There's hope when you look at jobs and opportunities for yourself. There's hope to expand your brand and talk about those things. Life is a wonderful thing to live across the board, and with friendships, it's just a wonderful thing. So we have our peanut gallery back here. We love them so much too. Speaking of
Oh yeah.
beer events, right? This weekend is the Winter Warmer Fest. Just to dive right in from really happy-go-lucky, stay sober to biggest
balls to the wall.
Beer fest of the,
biggest beer fest in the area, best beer fest in the area when it comes to the Winter Warmer Beer Fest. Everybody's bringing their heavy hitters, best thing in the biz. What do you guys bring to both Friday night and Saturday?
Friday night we're serving our apple brandy barrel aged 8 Crazy Nights, which is fantastic. The beer already has apple cider in it.
Good match.
Apple brandy pairs perfectly with it and just
Man.
enhances that apple flavor really nicely. And then on the lighter side, we're going to bring our, I think we're bringing this one, the Canalway Bill. So
Nice.
yeah, give everybody the nice heavy option and then the light option.
What's the release date? That's good, right?
Yeah.
I think Friday we're bringing barrel-aged Christmas Ale and barrel-aged Clash of Clans. So people are paying for that event, so might as well
for sure.
bring something fun.
Saturday we'll have seven beers total. 4 of those will be barrel aged, at least 8.5 to 10%.
Where you guys have your tent?
I don't know where we're at yet.
We're
No?
in the
Okay.
we're in the big room at the top.
Okay.
I don't remember the
Yeah.
names of all the rooms. We'll be right there. Our tent will be there. Can't miss it. 4 different
wait.
barrel aged beers, and then we
Yep.
brought just a mix of other stuff. So the lighter Pilsner to a session IPA to our Blackberry Sunset. Should be a really good time.
Nice. We are bringing on Saturday our Better Together Pastry Stout, Christmas Miracle, our Belschnickel Belgian Winter Warmer, our barley wine, all 10% for those, our watermelon sugar seltzer, 5%, our Nipa painkiller, 8%, Tahiki Teka, which is a 6.5% hazy, which I love, and then our Black Abbey Irish Stout, which is
Very nice.
really fun. So a lot of beers for everybody across the
good
board. You guys are sponsors of the event too,
We are.
just like us.
Yep.
So get yourselves down. If you don't have tickets already, you can look
I
at
think
your
there's
webpage.
Just a few left.
Just
I
a few
think,
left,
for
right?
Saturday, yeah.
We posted on Avon Brewing's webpage how to get tickets, or just go to Winter Warmer Brewfest, Ohio Craft Brewers Association. Get yourself tickets. Should be a lot of fun. Or guess what, guys? I almost forgot. We are going to give away 2 tickets tonight to the Winter Warmer for
very
Saturday.
nice.
So
Yes.
boom.
Very nice.
So you got email or you got a comment?
Yep. Comment today,
Whoever's
right down
first.
here.
Yeah.
Let us know if you want to come to Winter Warmer on Avon Brewing Company for the BlabberMalt Show. 2 tickets, Winter Warmer. Email us at blabbermalt@gmail.com or right here live on Facebook.
Facebook or YouTube.
Toss it up there, and we'll pick you up. We'll get you some tickets.
Very nice.
We can deliver them mobile. If you're watching, you got to do it soon.
Yep.
Pays to watch our show in more ways than one. Dave, we have some music events coming up.
Yeah, I do. At the Kent stage, February 28th, Eric Gales is playing. He's a blues guy.
Yep.
Really good dude.
I looked him up
He's
earlier.
He's been around a long time, but really good dude. We mentioned this, Aerosmith and Black Crows.
I know.
Oh,
The 29th.
I know.
Rocket Mortgage.
so,
That's going to be a good show.
side note, my very first concert was Aerosmith.
That's a good concert.
My aunt took me, and it was before I knew what Mary Jane was. And the gentleman in front of me just kept partaking, and I was like, "What's that
What
smell?"
is he
and she's
doing?
like, "I will teach you in a couple of years."
That's a good, that's
It
a
was
good
an
story.
awesome. It was an awesome
That's a
first
great story.
concert. That's for sure.
It's not a good concert.
Definitely. Black Crows are not too shabby either.
No, they're very good.
March 9th, Rocket Mortgage, Avenged Sevenfold. I know.
Also great.
Matthias is a big fan of them. And also, well, I don't know about big fan.
I'm a fan.
A fan. Okay. Monsters of Rock Cruise is coming up. March
Yeah,
3rd
tough.
to the 7th. We're going to miss it this year.
I know.
It's just, It's so expensive. We just couldn't.
Maybe
do it.
next year.
But
I talked about going this year. I did tell you that. So
maybe,
you're not going, so I'm not going.
Yeah.
Sorry, Billy.
Yeah, Billy and Todd are playing in Tough. But here's a couple of the bands that are playing. Ace Frehley, Joe Satriani, KK's Priest, which is KK Downing's version of Judas Priest.
Yep.
Accept, Slaughter, Firehouse, Vixen, Faster Pussycat, Quiet Riot, Y&T, Crazy Licks, Paradise Kitty.
Everybody who's left from these bands are just rocking it out.
Man.
It's going to be epic.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Man.
So what do we got going on at ZZ's and Medina?
Some
Music-wise?
ZZ's we have on Friday night at 8 o'clock to midnight. We have karaoke, and Saturday we have High on the Hog starting at 7:30, running until they decide to be done. That's our house band tonight. Medina, we have we have someone new this week. We have Ben Gilbert. He's a local musician there in town, and he does covers. And Saturday we have the infamous Island Troy coming in 7:30 p.m. Playing there at Medina.
Nice.
You guys have music this weekend too, right?
Every Friday downtown.
Friday.
We're working on every Friday downtown we have a band with a few other things mixed in here and there, and then Euclid we're kind of still working out. We had Austin Walking Cane out there the night that we had our pre-recorded version of
which
the
was
show.
wonderful.
He's good.
Yeah.
I like him.
So I've been talking to him and some other local. We're feeling like the room that night calls for I think more smaller couple people maybe, not a full band all the time. Although we did have did we have that yet? There was going to be a full band.
There was
playing on
one
weekend.
Friday night.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how that went. I wasn't there that night, but I will find out how that went, and we're still working on it. We're definitely going to do some live music out in Euclid too, so just watch for it.
Especially those doors open up, you can sit on that outdoor patio.
That'd be
That
great.
looks really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
2 killer patios. Look at you guys just owning the room here.
Yeah, a little bit different of views.
Yeah.
Good. You ready to grain out, Dave?
Yeah, let's do
It's
this.
time to grain out. Grain out.
Okay, so we got to just let you know what's coming up for the shows. Next week, I don't really know yet. We got a couple things working. So
Schedules
we'll
are all over the place,
we'll-
man.
we'll
This is
get
not my
back to
fault
you.
this time.
No, it's not. March 12th is our anniversary show right here.
1
We're gonna-
year, baby.
Yeah, we're going to do pretty.
Very nice.
We got something special for you guys.
We do.
The 19th, I'm going to be in Fort Myers. Well, we will be in Fort Myers.
I will not be. So
no.
we'll probably do some little fun show for
Yeah,
everybody.
we might throw something together.
Yeah.
We'll see. And the 26th,
Speaking of rock and roll,
Billy Morris will be here in studio. I got the guitar sitting back here, waiting for him. Maybe he'll
rip out a few riffs
yeah,
for us.
Yeah. The 2nd of April.
This is
gonna
the
d-
in question for this week. So
I'm gonna say it. We're trying to get out of Blue Monkey, and it's like 60-40 if we can get out there. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. People's
it is
schedules.
tough. I get it.
That's what's coming up.
Dave, remind everybody about giving us emails for questions, things that we do right or wrong.
Yeah, blabbermalt@gmail.com. Also, hit us up on all the socials. Hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss an exciting episode.
Collision Bend,
Get some merch.
Yep.
find us at.
CollisionBendBrewery.com, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff.
And you guys are on Tap too to find your beer lists.
Untapped, yep, at both locations.
Perfect.
So you can choose whichever one you're at.
Guys, I really appreciate you coming out today.
Thanks for having us.
you, yeah.
You know, we love you. We appreciate you, and as friends and mentors, and also just brewing companions. And great show tonight. Thanks for bringing beer and sharing with us. And until next time, guys, stay malty, Cleveland.
Cleveland.